We work hard so you can get hard.
That's a lot.
Woo!
I'm sure that was consensual.
It was fucking Carl!
Hey guys, Strictly Ball Business here. It's Alec and Dalton. We're ready to talk about the National Basketball Association. Now, I think since we last talked, the Warriors had won the championship, right? It hasn't been that long since we recorded.
Nah, they definitely
did. And I think we talked about the Gobert trade. So we've been back since then. So we are here now. You know, it's mid-July. We're looking to see some more moves happen in the NBA, hopefully get some rosters built so that we can see what the hell is going to happen next year. There's been a few big moves, but it seems like some other things are just in limbo right now. What we're going to talk about today mainly is just looking at Summer League, which is going on right now. So who are the standouts from that? And then we're also going to talk a bit about the teams that were there. So who's going to be the worst in each conference? I mean, all teams have played in the Summer League. That's silly. But who's going to be the worst in each conference? We'll talk about that. And we will also discuss the next team to be sellers. So that may play a little bit into that as well. You see, we're talking a bit about teams that are maybe going to be in the dumpster next year. But hey, there's always some diamonds in the dumpster, right? Or, you know, maybe a good McDouble that's still in the wrapper. Another thing that we're going to talk about is our top 5 trade candidates this season, not including KD or Kyrie, since those guys are obviously on the board right now. Yeah. You know, we're kind of waiting for those dominoes to fall before anything else happens. And then we're also going to talk about the Clippers predicting their season. They've done a couple things this offseason worth noting, and mainly they have guys coming back from injury. So this is a really intriguing year for them. I think even possibly they could make it all the way. We'll see. We'll talk about that later on this episode. So what episode is this? Oh,
46.
46. There you go. We're inching there to 50. Of course, if you like us, if you like talking about basketball, you know, hang out with us. Subscribe, and we got more videos for you.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a special 50th. Do something weird for our 50th.
Yeah, who knows? We'll do something crazy. we'll have to brainstorm that. We're still 4 episodes away, so we've got some time to think about it.
Yeah, like a Saw episode. Everything we say wrong, we get shocked or something. We get tortured. I don't know if that's allowed. Shocked or just stabbed. Maybe somebody can cut it. I don't know.
We can put like dog collars around our necks.
Yeah.
The shock collars.
That's not bad. I have a shock collar. I have means to a shock collar.
Well, luckily I do not. But for now, on episode 46, we're going to get into talking about some standouts from Summer League. You know, I really loved what I saw from Chet Holmgren in a couple of games. You know, who's someone, and Jabari Smith in his most recent game, he looked really solid as well. Mm-hmm. Who's someone that has looked good to you, maybe outside of those top cream of the crop guys?
Yeah, so I have 5 guys that really impressed me this Summer League. Some of them are done playing already. Chet and Jabari's not in it. Jabari kind of met expectation. His last game was really nice. That was really cool to see. But the game before that, super inefficient, missed a lot of shots. It's not really what I wanted to see. And Chet has had some highlights, but he has been bullied. It's kind of exactly what people were worried about. Is when you watch games, he's just getting pushed around. He just doesn't have the strength. But so they're not in my 5. But starting off, the guy who impressed me the most this Summer League is Keegan Murray. He's kind of exactly what I didn't think he was going to be this good out of the gate, but I saw it in the stats. I thought he could definitely be there, and he's shown out to be a great guy. 21 points per game, 6 rebounds. Guy has been shot 40% from 3. It looks like the answer to the Kings, and that's really refreshing to see a guy like that. What do you think of Keegan?
Yeah, I mean, he had that one game. He was like 10 of 14. He looks like the truth. He can shoot a little bit. He can drive it in. Positional need. They needed to get a guy like him. They're already solid at the guard position. I know people want to be upset about them not taking Jaden Ivey, but I think this guy's going to be really solid in this league. And it doesn't usually work out for players coming in at his age, but maybe he's the one to break the mold here.
Yeah, I think he's outplayed the top three, and all of them have been forwards. So I think that was really cool to see. Plus, like if he wasn't on the Kings, he would be my prediction to be Rookie of the Year. But he's on the Kings, so he's not going to get these possessions once he starts playing because he's going to be even at best fourth option in that starting lineup.
Yeah,
but,
who is your prediction for Rookie of the Year?
I'll answer that when we're done with Summer League. But the next guy that impressed me was Cam Thomas. I mean, he impressed both of us last Summer League. We talked a lot about it. He just didn't get that many minutes, wasn't that efficient during the NBA season, so he didn't get that much time. Obviously, they were pushing for a playoff in the playoffs, so they didn't want to give young guys that much minutes. But 28 points per game in 3 games. The guy's been killing it. Not been the most efficient. 42, 15, 85 splits. 15 is the one that really hurts. 4 threes a game, but it's still impressive that a guy's coming out in 3 games in Summer League scoring 28 points per game. Definitely his season before is really showing his NBA experience is coming out in the Summer League.
Yeah, man. No, I totally think like anybody with NBA experience coming into the Summer League is gonna, look better than these guys just coming in, because you're seeing these dudes who are coming straight from college. They just want to play iso ball. They all think they're still the star from college, and so they're trying like their hardest to, just make the show happen and show off like, hey, you should, play me for these reasons. But I think I saw someone recently, JJ Redick maybe, no, Alex Caruso maybe, had said like these players don't realize they're not auditioning to be the star. Like most of these guys aren't doing that. They have to be auditioning to be the janitor, to be the 15th man on the bench. And like, you got to do the little things in the game. And when you're just doing your iso ball shit, like the coaches don't care about that.
No, that's right. I mean, yeah, it's some of them use it as their 15 minutes of fame where they can come out and dominate, and they're trying to make highlights. They're trying to get off play the crowd, be like, oh yeah, this guy was really hot, like we want to see him more. And that's what plays into the fans. Like Josh Okogie, that's why he was really a huge thing in Minnesota. Remember, every time he checked in, everyone would cheer his first few years because Summer League, because Timberwolves fans paid attention. They're like, oh yeah, he was really good in Summer League, why don't you play him more? And granted, defense, he was great on defense. Just we've talked about how worthless he is on offense. But the third guy, another guy that really showed out, and I think it was just means of I don't know why. Well, he got minutes. It was his rookie year. So Trey Murphy the third also has played really well. He impressed. Another guy that impressed us last Summer League. I think he's going to get less minutes now, but I think he can. He's trying to push to be on that like you said, like that 7th, 8th man on this bench. So we certainly both like him. So he's been doing really well too at 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, only 2 games played, but still.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think like there's certainly a chance for him to break into the rotation a bit more, but I got to see a little bit more of him.
True. And then my fourth guy, Jonathan Kaminga, he just looks like such a already star that just can't shoot. Like it's crazy. Even when I watched him, he just holds himself like a star and scores like a star. If he wasn't on the Golden State Warriors, I swear he'd be a starter on like any other team. I'm not any other team, but you know what I mean. Like if it was
I mean, he'd get opportunities. I think I think they're certainly looking for him to step up next year. Yeah. But it was it's like, are they gonna like pull the leash fast if he's not doing what he should be next year?
Yeah, I mean that's the real question, because everyone understood why he didn't play in the finals much. Like you can't just have a rookie come out and play in the finals, like heavy minutes in the finals. That's a lot to ask. But I'm impressed. I can't wait to see where he goes. Wiseman, meh, when he played, but whatever. So, but my fifth and also my rookie of the year is Paolo Manchero. I was really impressed with the way he played. I mean, there's some bias put in there, but when you watched him play, you're like, I get it. You're like, okay, I get it. This is why he was drafted number 1 overall. Average six assists, 5 rebounds, clean 20 points. Not efficient, but I mean, 40, 50, 50% from three, but he didn't really shoot that much. It was just it was how he held himself, how he was able to get into his shot, create. That's what you wanted to see. I mean, who was Kennedy? Kennedy kind of hijacked the offense from time to time, and they're like, all right, the Magic were like, we've seen enough. You've done well. We'll see in the season. And he kind of proved a point for me that there's no reason he shouldn't be starting out of the gate. I mean,
he'll definitely be starting.
There's no reason Mo Bamba should be the starting center if you have a guy like Wendell Carter anyway. So it should really at least the forwards are figured out. They can figure out the guards, but it should be out of the gate, Wagner, Manchero, Carter. I don't see any reason anybody else should be starting. Especially, people can make an argument for Jonathan Isaac. He's coming off injury. He should be off the bench anyway. Let him earn those minutes.
Yeah, so it's the 5 Fultz, Suggs.
That's who I'd
have.
That's who I'd have. And then Wagner, Banchero, Carter. Yeah, I really like Cole off the bench. I like that idea. He's played well. He does push the pace. Actually, he doesn't push the pace as much as you would think than Fultz does. Fultz pushes it an extra like 5 or 10 possessions. So that's really what I want to see. And Fultz has just proven that he's much better. He's one of the better floor generals in the whole NBA, I would think, as point guards go, and how they can take control of an offense. So that's kind of what they need. And Banchero, they're going to give all the possessions to him, and as he deserves. He deserves some possessions because no one else on that team can really score at a high level. So that, but that's my rookie. Have you already thought about your rookie of the year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Chet Holmgren personally.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I
get what the thing that holds back on Chet for me is how many minutes, how they're going to split up the possessions. If they're truly going to push him into the second, or how he's going to, because SGA really takes a lot of shots for that team, and deservedly so. Last season, he should have been the one taking most of the shots, but Lou Dort's going to get his. I don't know how much Poku's going to want, Trey Mann. They have a bunch of guys that take shots, but definitely he's
going to get it for his defense, I think, mainly.
Really? I think so he got a lot of blocks, and that was impressive. It's just, I wonder the system, if he can play within an NBA system. Blocks don't necessily mean great interior defense. No,
if he could shoot well, he could score. I think he can do it.
I'm gonna reserve my opinions on Chet until I can see him in NBA physicality, because that's the biggest role, that's the biggest factor. That's what everyone knew when he got drafted.
Yeah, I mean, he was just getting pushed around by Kenny Lofton the other day. That guy's a lot bigger than most NBA players.
He's not. He's bigger, just not taller. But yeah, that does affect. Yeah, I mean, a lot of players, especially NBA, if they know like you're soft and you get pushed around, they know, they see it in film. They're just going to take advantage of it. So it's whether he can just rise.
It's definitely his one weakness.
Grind.
But
it's just like he can. I don't think
it's going to stop him.
No, I don't think it's going to stop him. It's just how his attitude towards it. So if he gets pushed around, like remember Dragan Bender? I'm not saying he's like Dragan Bender, but Dragan Bender failed a lot because he was tall and skinny, and they would attack him, and he would get swallowed by it.
Dragan Bender wasn't as gifted as Chet Holmgren is, though.
No, it's not about gift. I'm just saying it's more of a mentality thing. That's what we want to see, is whether he can be like, all right, and attack back rather than just get attacked.
I think he's got that mentality.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I think he's got the confidence, and he's got to bulk up, but he's still a kid. So yeah, I think he's got it.
No, but a lot of busy guys in summer league, and most of the major prospects are probably done playing now. So now it's just kind of like you said, playing for that 4th, 5th roster spot, which is fine. Doesn't much. I'm still gonna watch a few games. I watch the Magic games, but it's still like much like trash time in the NBA is with the summer league. Very undisciplined type deal, and it's just a lot of guys obviously pushing for that spotlight. So it becomes a lot of hero ball. That's what summer league, and that's what I kind of don't like about it. It's less team and like what you like watching about it, and it's more like individual players trying to shine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of guys that, for the most part, haven't played with each other before. And
Right.
so they don't care to share the rock with each other.
Yeah,
They're like, we're all trying to make this roster spot. I'm competing against you.
Yeah, they're more competing against each other than the other game, than the other team, which is pretty interesting. But
yeah, exactly. That's the culture that gets built around it.
Right.
But yeah, we'll move on. I think we talked a bit about that. So we're going to talk now about who we think is going to be the worst in the conference, Eastern and Western next season. Who was the worst in the West this year? Was it Houston?
Houston was the worst. Houston was the worst.
And East, was it Detroit or Orlando?
Magic.
Orlando, okay. So this year, I think the worst in the West will be the San Antonio Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs. You know, I didn't think of them as much, but yeah, definitely they couldn't. Certainly have the potential to not be good. I mean,
they've got a lot of young guys on that team right now. I don't really know who's gonna, keep them afloat.
Right. I mean, a lot of Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. I don't know what guard. Who's their point?
They have Josh Primo.
Is Josh Primo their point guard now? Like their starting point guard? Who's their starting point guard? Certainly not Lonnie Walker. Fuck no, it's not. No, Lonnie Walker's not even on the Spurs anymore.
Yeah, he's not on the team anymore.
Him or who's that? Trey Jones. Trey Jones is still on the team, I think.
Trey Jones. Oh yeah. Okay, so they got him.
I'd say Josh.
So
over him.
Like, who's on this team that's going to lead you to wins next year?
I mean, Keldon Johnson will probably be the leading scorer for this team. Podol's still there, who's a solid center, one of the most underrated centers in the league. He's still there. Good. He's still going to hold it down. I do have my worst team. I think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be the Rockets. I do have enough confidence that Coach Pop will coach them into more wins than the Rockets will win, because they did lose Wood, who was their leading scorer for that team. And they'll probably lose Gordon throughout the year, whether it's a buyout or somebody will trade a contract to get Eric Gordon. That's been talked about a lot. They lack of a leader. Jabari's a nice piece, but I don't think, from what I've seen, he's a very off-ball type, very DeAndre Hunter like he can score 20 points a game. You just need a good playmaker and a good well-built offense for him to score that 20 points a game. It's going to be leaning on the growth of Jalen Green, and we're still up in the air about KPJ. We're not sure where he's going to do. He was a very disappointing season. We'll see what he's gonna do. But Jalen Green, it's kind of built off the growth of him, and I think even if he grows into what they want him to be, I don't see them winning more games than the Thunder or the Spurs.
Yeah, I do think the Rockets are going to be better this year than they were last year. I understand they lost Christian Wood. That's a huge loss. But in terms of locker room, it's a big positive because he wasn't great there. And it sounds like he's going to be the sixth man for the Mavericks anyways. So turns out maybe people are overvaluing Christian Wood. Who knows?
Yeah.
KPJ, I'm right on that with you. I think he's a huge question mark right now. But I have a ton of confidence in Jalen Green. He looked awesome in like the last 50 some games last year.
Yeah.
And, did he make first team All NBA from that?
He first rookie, first team
yeah, that's
rookie.
what I mean.
I think so.
First team rookie, yeah.
Because it was Cade and him, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got a ton of confidence that him and Jabari Smith are like the building blocks for this team right now. And they got to find that playmaker. I would love to see Kevin Porter, do something this year, but there's a great chance that this is like his last year with the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, and honestly, this is probably one of his last years as a major role in the NBA if he can't make it work with the Rockets. And I don't see any other team, because this is the opportunity. This is where he had the biggest stage, and everyone saw. So the Cavaliers, we understood getting traded, locker room issues, whatever. But this is kind of where he had to make it work. And if it didn't work here, I don't know where it would work. But I mean, it's hard to come back. They were 30th in turnovers, 30th. They were the worst defense in the league, worst in free throw percentage. So we're just gonna have to see where that goes, the Rockets. But how about the East? Who's gonna be the worst in the East? If you say my Magic, I swear to God. No, seriously, I swear to God. Don't do it.
The worst team in the East, I think, is going to be the Detroit Pistons.
Ooh, we agree. I also think it's going to be them.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really add any guys this year that's going to help them win this year. I think they did a great job in building for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it's going to be some gradual growth this year, and they're still going to lose a lot of games.
Right. I mean, Jaden Ivey, great pick, but the insertion of Jaden Ivey will change what offense they already had. So I think that's a huge deal. Plus, they lost Jeremy Grant. Much like the same thing. He was the leading scorer. He took the most possessions. That's going to change. And they don't really have anyone to fill that. I mean, aside from Cade and Sadiq will just take a bigger role. But however, they don't have another person that they can just insert and be like, all right, take out the same plays as him. So it's all going to change because Jaden Ivey's a guard, so it's certainly going to change that way.
And I like the few guys that they have.
Oh,
but
I do.
They're all like crazy young.
Yeah, too young, and that's another reason I have is too young. They still have a lot to grow. Bagley too, they resigned. He's going to come back, and they didn't really put him into their offense, so they have to fit him in now because they kind of traded Grant, and now he's going to take over Grant's role. So he's in the starting lineup too, and they still have a lack of a good center. I don't have faith in Isaiah Stewart. Kelly Olynyk is Kelly Olynyk. They got Noel, but he's not good enough. So like that's their.
Well, they drafted Jalen Durant. I thought that's their guy.
See.
So I mean, very young, obviously a rookie, but that's who they chose to take a bet on, and I think like he's certainly a guy worth taking a shot at.
Oh, definitely, and I am impressed with Jalen Durant. I'm really glad they got him, but he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be playing heavy minutes till later in the season. They're probably going to have to play through Noel and Olynyk, and they're going to realize
like this season, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to help them for this season.
Yeah,
to a point where he's going to like win them games.
For
I
sure.
think, down the road could be a great pick though.
For sure. Be great for them to get another overall pick, number one overall pick. That'd be pretty insane. The Pistons deserve it. If there's a franchise, the Pistons deserve it.
If they could get the number one pick, they would get Victor Wembanyama. And then you've got Wembanyama and Kate Cunningham together, which is like a 2K player's dream.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Jaden Ivey. That's crazy. But that would be exciting.
Sure. Yeah, already just having Cade and Jaden Ivey and Jalen Durant's a pretty solid trio. And then you're going to have a great pick again next year. But that's what you have to do when you're one of these bad teams. You just have to like build these like great draft picks over the first couple of years when your young players can sustain some losing and you're paying them millions of dollars and like, it's fine. We're building up. And then eventually, you gotta win some games, but they're pulling it together.
But another thing NBA fans really love, aside from development of young characters, is when a team falls apart, because we get to talk about trades and where the fuck all these players are going to go. So I'm excited to hear who you think the next seller in the NBA is. I mean, the Pacers, we called it. We talked about them all last season. We're like, the Pacers were the next seller. They were. So now, but we didn't predict the Jazz. That came out of nowhere. But who's the next seller in the NBA? What team is going to be giving all their players away or trading major parts of the team they have now?
I think usually a seller is going to be a team who was recently a buyer, a team who was, going strong and like times were great. I think obvious one that I'm just going to say honorable mention is the Nets, but they're already kind of selling right now, right?
They're already selling.
So, love to see that. Love to see the super teams break up. My next team that I think is going to sell is the LA Clippers, man. I think they could really crumble after a couple years. Just because like there's a very injury likely team. I mean, Kawhi Leonard just tore his ACL at this point in his career. I mean, a guy who has already been given ample rest days and time off. What do they even call those days? It's just rest days?
Fuck. He created this term. He used the sole player that created load management.
Load management. Yeah. The fucking load management. Even with all the load management, he tore his ACL anyways. And Paul George has been injured. And now they bring in John Wall, another guy who's injury prone, who hasn't really played much over the last few years. And he looked decent in his Houston games, but still questionable. That's a team that I got my eye on. The only reason I could see them like not ultimately selling anytime soon is because Steve Ballmer is opening up the wallet and he'll be willing to like bring whoever wants to come in.
Yeah, I can get into more exactly why. I think they're going to be a really good team. I think it's 2 years, at least 2 years before they blow it up, because I'll go into it, but they are one of the deepest teams. So it's hard to say that they're going to because they have some guys that could be starting on most teams as a playoff team. So like there's a lot of players that I have confidence in that are going to play well. So I don't think it's going to be the Clippers. I do think, and this is more like contingent, I think the Phoenix Suns are going to be the next seller in the NBA.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yep, and especially what we're seeing going on with Ayton. Who knows? They could be sellers currently, depending upon what they get back for Ayton. Because Ayton doesn't want to be there. Even if he signs, he's not going to be there long. You know he doesn't want to be there. And Chris Paul is 36, 37 now. I mean, granted, every season...
He might be 38.
Yeah. Every season we say Chris Paul is going to get old and he still plays fine. However, it's the window that the franchise sees as. Yeah, he did. He has started to fall off every season. Granted, he'll
be 38 next year during the season.
But, so that and Booker... He's shown frustration, not with the franchise, just not with getting there. And I know there's a lot of teams that are fringe teams that could become contenders if they got Booker in a trade. So I know he could see the grass is greener on other places. Plus, I mean, they have a certain young core that they'd be like, you know what? Let's trade these major pieces away. We can keep Booker. I mean, we can keep Johnson. We can keep Bridges and still have something there. And there's like fringe guys like Crowder and Payne that a lot of teams would be like, yeah, we'll take him. Or like JaVale McGee, they're like, yeah, we'd love to have him on our team. So I can see this team getting blown up. I love Monty. I love what the Suns have done the last few years. They were my favorites to win the championship this year going into it. Certainly after, actually the Bucks were, but they were out of the West. I predicted them going to the finals confidently throughout the whole year. So, we'll have to see, but I certainly think that they're on that tipping point. They're at the iceberg edge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One other team that I was thinking about who could be sellers really soon is the Chicago Bulls. They did just lock Zach LaVine into an extension, but I mean, how far is this team really going to go? Like, how long is it till guys are getting upset? And like, what do they do after this year when they ultimately don't make it past the first or second round? Like, what's the reactive move they make?
Immediately what I inch towards is when I think of the Bulls, is if I was the front office and say they get bounced in the first round again this year, I would look and be like, I already know in advance, be like, listen, Lonzo, you're missing too much time, and Vucevic is just has just been a letdown since he came from Orlando. So I would instantly be trying to get off Vucevic's contract, but I do think that they'd be able to get something back for Vucevic where they could make another run at it, or they can be like, all right, but their cap is extended, so it's tough. So looking into a year, so Zach LaVine is a number 2 on a championship team. I don't see him as a number 1 player on a championship team. However,
they've got two number 2s right now.
And DeMar DeRozan is certainly a number 2. However, if they, I think when the Lakers fall apart, I think Anthony Davis, the Bulls, is his next stop because he's from Chicago. I think if he goes there with DeMar and LaVine, I think that changes the narrative. I think at minimum they're a second round team, and I think that's enough for the Bulls.
Yeah, if you get, you're banking on a flash in the pan with Anthony Davis hopefully being healthy for when he's there and being ultra bought in because he's from the area. I think it's a good gamble, and it certainly could work out. And then he's obviously better than Vucevic.
Oh yeah, he is better than Vucevic, and I mean then you might have a a trade package that looks like, be like, hey, you guys want Lonzo and Caruso back?
Yeah.
And then maybe Lonzo becomes a Laker again. Maybe that's just the way he's destined, is just to be a Laker once, because LeBron's probably going to be gone in 2 years anyway, right? So
LeBron might be gone next year.
But I do think,
after this next season.
yeah, and I do think that it's worth, like, I've heard a lot of rumblings in Chicago. They're aware that, because what was it, in free agency, Anthony Davis talked to the Bulls. Like, he was like, even though everyone knew he was gonna
in that
sign
moment
with the Lakers
last year.
Everyone knew he was gonna sign with the Lakers, but he did talk to the Bulls, and I think the Bulls are aware that he would like to play for them at one point in their career.
Yeah, for sure. I think the window's definitely open there.
Yeah, no, ow, that was interesting. I just hit my funny bone.
Do you see the Lakers, first of all, winning another championship with LeBron? And do you see LeBron signing an extension with the Lakers?
I see him signing because he wants to play with his son, and I do think he's genuine. He will play. His last year will be his son's rookie year, which is what, 2024. So he's probably got 2 more seasons, counting this season. I'd say I see him signing a year extension. But
you think he's only playing in the league 2 more years?
Well, when
he's retiring,
he'd be 40 by the time he retired. If he had 2 years,
he's not 38 right now.
Is he not 38? He's 37 or 38.
Let's see here, 37 as of December. So yeah, he'll be 38. Yeah, I mean, okay, he'll be 40. I still think he's gonna play another 4 years. I think he's gonna play till he's like 42.
Really? I mean, it's possible.
I mean, he might wait out till the second son makes it to the NBA.
I mean, shit, maybe. I don't think he's gonna sign with the Lakers. I think he's just gonna, because conveniently, if he plays this last year is his last year, right?
Contract, yeah.
I think he'll sign a 1-year extension, so his free agency will land when his son's a rookie. So then his son will sign somewhere, and then, like he said, I think he's gonna sign a minimum contract. He's not gonna get a minimum contract. He's gonna get, he's still gonna get his money, but he's gonna sign where his son signs.
Yeah, if you were a NBA team, would you give LeBron the 4-year maximum contract when he's 40 years old?
I would. If let's toss out a hypothetical here. So let's say in 2 years, who's going to be if I was, fuck it. I mean, let's just say if I was the Orlando Magic, and we have, I currently kind of like expect, like, if say they have like the 14th pick, and that's where Bronny gets drafted, is the 14th pick in the
Bronny's like not even a second round prospect.
However, if I have the 14th pick and I have some prospects already, and we're like, we can get LeBron for 3 years just by picking his son up, I think I would do it. And I think I would give him that money, whatever money he wants, because it not only does it like the value of LeBron as a player, you become one of the most relevant teams in the NBA just by signing.
I mean, you're forever one of the teams that LeBron played for too.
And LeBron has made Cleveland like a medium, like they should be a very small market, but they're a medium market, I'd say. Like, I can see a lot of free agents being like, I'll just go to Cleveland because it's just a
free
franchise
agents
now.
Have gone to Cleveland. What they got?
None, but like they haven't been like, to get free agents regardless, you have to have a certain draw and certain
you gotta have a good team.
They haven't been there. I think next year I think Cleveland will have a max slot, and I think next year Cleveland could get a decent free agent.
The problem is that the NBA isn't built around free agency anymore. I think after this next CBA, there's a possibility we'll get back to that. But for now, like, teams have to build through trades. Yeah,
which is true. But that's why it's so valuable. If you can pick up a guy in free agency that can change your franchise culture, yeah, fuck it, I'd do it. So so I see him 1 year extension, to answer your question. But
okay.
Speaking of, so let's talk about this season, and let's just refer to it as trade deadline candidates. As of today, we'll pretend these guys are going to wait till trade deadline, which they don't have to. But for argument's sake, or they're waiting to the trade deadline to get traded. What are your top 5 trade candidates that are not Kyrie or KD? Because everyone knows their top 2 anyway, or they might get traded within the next week. They might get traded. They're gonna get traded before the deadline. We know it, and we know their top talents. But what other 5 players are top 5 trade candidates for you?
I think Donovan Mitchell is at the very top.
He's number 1 for
Right
me.
there. Yeah, number 1 for sure. I mean, people gotta be putting together anything to grab him. And it sounds like the Knicks are interested in him, which is
They're interested in
interesting.
everyone.
But I mean, there's always been the connection with him to the Knicks. I feel like that's always been kind of a thing.
His dad works for the Mets. That's a huge thing too.
Okay.
And they can put together a package. I saw on ESPN, they're like, I would not trade RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Donovan Mitchell is miles better than RJ Barrett will ever be. I think. I think RJ Barrett will maybe be a fringe all-star in his career. I think he can certainly help teams. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a very Norman Powell-esque player. But I don't think he's ever going to be on the level of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's a top 5 shooting guard in this league.
I just see people down on that potential move because the defense between Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell would be so bad that you would have to have your 3 other guys be excellent at defense to cover up for them.
Yeah, and it's not that either one are bad at defense. It's that they're both like 6'2". Well, Jalen Brunson's 6 foot and Donovan Mitchell's 6'2". They're just so small they can't do much on defense. It's not that they're bad, it's just they're limited on defense. Because Donovan Mitchell was drafted on his defense. Granted, he has to do a lot offensively, but if he got moved there, I don't know. It depends who would be left. Yeah, I guess it would depends who's left on that team for them to where I can make a judgment.
Well, they're not going to have to gut the team for Donovan Mitchell. I mean, I think you would just have to trade a bunch of draft picks and RJ Barrett, and that would be enough.
Yeah, I mean, if Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson are still on that team, I do think his defense, his on-ball defense would be a lot better because he does not have to do everything on offense like he does with the Jazz, where he has to carry the entire offense. And I think he can concentrate more on defense because, like, NBA players are human. Like, you can say they're bad at defense, but you can also be like, no, this dude's fucking exhausted. Like, he just did everything on, he plays like 26, he has like 26 to 30 possessions a game with the Jazz, which is pretty insane. And people are like, his efficiency's low at like 42%. I'm like, okay, but for what his role is pretty obscene. Like, I don't know how many players have to do as much as he does on offense because he's so heavily doing everything. His second guy is Bogdanovich. But Donovan Mitchell for sure. And I think number 2 trade down is pretty apparent too is John Collins. I think everyone knows he's gonna go somewhere. Even though people say like the DeJounte Murray trade, I don't think that helps him. I think he still wants to go. I don't think that was the issue with star power. I think it was possessions and space and all this other stuff because they clearly really like DeAndre Hunter. So I think he's gonna be the second best trade candidate.
Yeah, I think certainly John Collins is a guy, they've been trying to trade, but at this rate, they already got DeJounte Murray in the building. I don't know if you need to trade Collins unless you just really want to shake things up. I mean, there was that reported trade where they could have got like Harrison Barnes, maybe. Is that even worth doing at this point?
I think for floor spacing wise, we had a comment about how he said, he's like, what are you talking about? He shoots 37% from 3. I'm like, yeah, but he shoots 3 threes a game. That's not floor spacing because he spends no time on the perimeter. I'm like, granted, he's an efficient 3-point shooter, and everyone would want him to shoot more threes. But he's he likes being a face-up, back to the basket type player. That affects your spacing. For the record.
Absolutely. I mean, when he's just not being out there often, he's not, not really creating space, which is the whole point of that word. My second guy I had on my list is Colin Sexton. I've been waiting to see, what happens with him. I mean, he was hurt last year, obviously, but he's still a guy who's an efficient scorer and provides some energy for you. Maybe he's small like some of these other guys like Jalen Brunson, but I think if you need to get a bucket getter on your team, you're not going to find many guys better.
Yeah, I'd say he's a Japan's trying to call me right now. I'd say he's a third scoring option on a championship team. I can confidently say that. If he was on, say he had, like, for argument's sake, say he had Bradley Beal and which I know this sounds like an extravagant to say, but like if Bradley Beal was the second option, as Bradley Beal should be a second option, and Kawhi Leonard was your first option, I could see him being a really scary third option. So I think he certainly has value in this league, and he should go someplace like the Mavericks. I'd love to see him on the Mavs. I think that kind of fixes some issues there, where it puts a lot back into Luka's hands, and he can just score.
I mean, I can see that. Like, I think like Colin Sexton would work really well there. I think they've been looking for another guard after they lost Jalen Brunson. So
he wasn't even on my list.
Third guy,
he would have been on my list.
I had John Collins.
Okay, John Collins.
He wasn't even on your list.
Just because I forgot him, he should have been on. He would have been on my list.
Yeah,
he would have made it. My third, aside from, it probably would have been Sexton, is Deangelo Russell. I think he's going to be in this trade candidate mark. I think there's a great possibility he will be a trade candidate, and I think he certainly has value for a lot of teams. He's shown he cannot be a first or second option anymore, as we used to think he is. I certainly think he can be a third option. Maybe not on the Wolves, but maybe with a lot of with more playmakers, more heavy playmakers where he can play off ball. I mentioned before the Cavaliers with Darius Garland would be good. But what do you think of what do you think of Russell?
I think certainly he's a trade candidate, but ultimately I don't think he's getting traded because the Wolves are not probably getting a great offer out there, and they're not going to get like something that's worth moving him for. And if I'm the Wolves, I'm not moving him for anything that doesn't bring me back somebody who's better than him, or is like equally as good, or has like a couple of guys with some talent. And I don't know why another team would offer that. To be fair,
it'd be tough for the Wolves because they would need an elite playmaker back, because that's what they're missing.
They would be screwed at point guard if they got rid of him and they weren't bringing back a good one. Because at backup they have Jordan McLaughlin. They traded Pat Beverly even. So yeah, they can't really afford to trade him at this rate. But I think the next guy on my list, I have Buddy Hield.
I forgot about Buddy.
Yeah, I mean, shoots 40% on threes on like 10 a game. This is a guy any team would love to have. He just has a high salary. That's why he hasn't really like ended up on a good team lately. But like once he has a salary that's more reasonable, he's going to be on a contender on his next contract.
Yeah, I think the Mavs would love him because Mavs, they've shown that they just like shooters. They don't give a shit if they can do anything else but shoot. Like Davis Bertans are like, give me him. They're like, we don't care. You can shoot. Come on.
Yeah.
So I think
it would be great. Well. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Definitely.
I think, and then my last one, I feel like I always, have him on the list. I don't love to talk about him, but Miles Turner, he's just fucking always on the trade market. And, is like great player. Just get traded already.
Yeah, I just don't give a shit about talking about him anymore because of that. I'm like, listen, like we've all talked about it. The Pacers, I guess, just won't trade him. Whatever, I've given up. We can always dream about him going to a better place, but whatever.
We can.
He's on my honorable mentions. Yeah. But my fourth was Julius Randle. I think the Knicks are kind of opening up everyone except for Brunson on this trade market, which brings me to my fifth guy too. But I think Julius Randle, he's certainly a great playmaker to have at the 4. I don't think he should play center. I mean, he averaged close to 10 rebounds last season, but and his shooting was down. But I think he can fit a lot of roles. I can see him being a third option on a lot of teams. I do think it's worth it. That I think it would be really interesting to see on the Bucks next to Giannis.
I mean, yeah, I think that would be great. But like, what are the Bucks going to give up? Like they don't have any salary to ship.
It would have to be something where they give up Middleton, but they get a lot back, more than just Randle.
Not worth it. That's not worth it at all.
No, it was just a thought that ran through my head, and I was like, that wouldn't be bad.
The Knicks would love to get Middleton. Holy crap, he'd be the best player on their team.
Yeah, he would. But my fifth guy is Derrick Rose. I do think a lot of teams are going to be going after him. I think he only averaged 12 points but he shot 40% from 3. Guy, he actually pretty funny. I mean, he only played 26 games, But he averaged half a block a game, which is pretty funny. But not that's why people are gonna get him. But I think he's a great veteran presence everywhere he goes. He's just the most liked guy in the locker room. I would love for the Wolves to get him back. That would be awesome. But certainly lots of teams. But I think the Bulls
would be great on the
like
Wolves. I mean, they need a backup point guard.
Yeah, they do, and I'd love to see him go back to the Bulls too. I think he would really help out that team, and I think they have some contracts.
Oh, I said the Wolves.
No, I know. The Wolves would work. I'd love the Wolves, but the Bulls would be really cool too. That's a cool.
Yeah, either one. The Bulls have like 3 backup point guards though, so I don't think that's happening. They just signed Goran Dragic, and they have Alex Caruso and Ayo Dosunmu, and starting they have Lonzo Ball. So like, I don't know what the fuck's going on over there.
Exactly. Well, but that's my 5, and I had a few of my honorable mentions as Eric Gordon, Terrence Ross, Evan Fournier, Miles Turner, and then Harrison Barnes. And I said possibly Anthony Davis, but we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I thought about Anthony Davis too, but I think there's a lot of contingencies on that one. Like, I think he has a great chance to get traded next offseason. Yeah,
if they get, I'm sure that once they get Kyrie, they'll give it a year, and then we'll measure it in a year and see how that goes. But I want to get on to a team that you thought might be sellers coming up, the next sellers, and that's the Clippers. Let's talk about their season, what they can do, how good are the Clippers now? What do you think?
Well, right now, they're buyers. I think, this is definitely a boom or bust team because obviously there's a lot of injury concern around these players, but the talent is all there. This team could very well have the number 1 seed this season. Like, I would not be surprised at that at all. This offseason, I think they did a great job at nailing their needs. They re-signed Ivica Zubac, who, stable center for them for years, has been fantastic. Can't say enough great things about Zubac.
Wonderful guy.
They, drawing a brain fart now. They are getting back Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So that's like an acquisition or two in itself. They just signed John Wall. So now he's going to basically be the starting point guard, and then Reggie will back up, I assume.
Yeah, which is crazy because Reggie could be a starting point guard on a lot of teams. Let me run down a little bit of what I saw in the depth. That'll spark some guys for you to jump on. So, like, fully healthy, I think their starting lineup. This is my prediction. I'm sure they'll see a lot of different lineups, but I see Wall, PG-13, Leonard, Covington, and Zubac. That's how I see their starting lineup with Morris, Coffey, Batum, Powell, Kennard, Jackson, and Terrence Mann as their depth. They are the deepest team in the NBA because a lot of those guys, Morris could start on teams, Powell could start on teams, Kennard's a great piece, Jackson could start on teams, even fucking Batum would be a great vet to have for a lot of teams. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and Amir Coffey, Minnesota's very own. He's pretty good too. Mm-hmm. I really like this squad. I think I'm excited to see Kawhi back and Paul George. Those are 2 of my favorite players to watch. So I think it's going to be a really fun season for them, hopefully. And I just think, like, with the Clippers, it's very boom or bust, like, on how they react to the end of the season because there's such high expectations. They have such a high bill that Steve Ballmer's paying. You have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So, like, after this season, like, if they don't make the conference finals, what do they do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the second round is a win for them, and I think it's even if they get bounced in the first round, it's an issue. Somebody gets traded. If they make it to the second round, they're like, all right, they'll knock it down, dude. This was our first season fully together. We'll wait till next season. If somebody gets injured, I think that's certain. That's if somebody tears their ACL. If one more fucking Clipper clips their ACL, I think they're gonna be like, all right, let's talk about this. But I don't think they need to make the conference finals to stay together. Cause I do think they will make at least the second round because the main thing they were missing when they were making the playoffs is they needed a leader. They needed an offense, floor general, and Jackson wasn't that. But Wall is. All things considered, if you want to say his shooting sucks, he doesn't have athleticism. Guy is a good playmaker. He's an elite playmaker. He does really well, and I think he's going to exceed with the Clippers, and I can't wait to see what he does with these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's too late for John Wall. I think you've got a small window here of him still being productive, and this is the right team for him. And I think he's going to help facilitate the ball really well in this offense for sure. They have been missing like a player of his skill level. Like Reggie Jackson's good, but John Wall is a better defender. He's faster. He's a better passer, and I trust him more to get a bucket. Though Reggie, is a better shooter overall. So they both have skills.
No, definitely, and it's kind of funny when we were talking about our John Wall trades like last season. We said the Clippers. We're like, oh yeah, most likely if he got traded, he'd go to the Clippers. Like I was looking back at our video, I was like, we're gods. We're basketball gods. We know it all.
Yeah. No, I mean, we definitely are the basketball gods.
Right. But so this is what I think. I think they're going to be the second best team in the West, behind the Warriors. But I think they're going to be the 4th seed because I'm sure with load management and I'm sure couple people will get minor injuries throughout the season. I think they'll land at the 4th seed, but I think they'll be the second best team in the West this season.
Yeah, I think realistically that makes sense because like you'll probably see them be really good when they are healthy, but realistically, Kawhi is gonna not play the entire season this year. He's coming fresh off the ACL, and he already was Mr. Load Management before this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like they'll drop a few games, but Ty Lue keeps this team ready, and there's a reason all the guys are getting paid well, and that they have such a deep team. They know that these guys are going to take some days off. They're going to get their opportunities.
Right.
We saw guys like Terrence Mann, Robert Covington step up. Robert Covington, didn't he have like 52 points last year?
Yeah, he got a 50-point game.
What the hell was that? What the hell was that?
It was just because he hit like all of his threes. He was like, oh, what the fuck? And that was when Giannis was like, keep going, man. He's like, keep shooting. Fuck it.
He's like, this is history.
Yeah, he's like, just keep going, bro. So that was pretty funny.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That was insane. Let's move on. That was the last topic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
All right. Well, we had a great talk today. Strictly Ball Business, episode 46. Put that one in the archives for y'all. Subscribe if you would. We love to talk about basketball, and you love to hear it. That's why you're here. So let's do some more of it, huh? Thanks for watching. Shit. My nose is just